Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a massively popular pop hit and, well, we're approaching it just a little differently. We're going to decode exactly how a song that completely dominated the global charts actually functions as a profound, really complex allegory for the loss of childhood innocence. Let's dive right into the incredible literary and visual poetry of BTS's Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Right out of the gate, we're hit with this incredibly visceral, dramatic imagery. On the surface, it immediately hooks you as this track about an intoxicating, really toxic love. You've got these intense lyrics, my blood, sweat, and tears, my last dance too, take 'em. It literally relies on bodily sacrifice to convey this idea of complete submission. And honestly, if you stop your analysis right there, it's a brilliant pop track about heartbreak and addiction. But if you look a bit closer, the true thesis actually reveals itself. The lyrics and the visuals are mapping out the psychological transformation of breaking away from a sheltered worldview. We're moving from that surface-level addictive love story straight into a critical allegory. What we're really talking about here is the agonizing but completely necessary death of innocence as an individual transitions into the messy reality of adulthood. To uncover the hidden philosophical core of this track, here is the path we'll take today. First, an allegory for innocence. Second, decoding with the Peel method. Third, contrasting Demian and BTS. Fourth, the cracking statue symbolism. And finally, the price of adulthood. Starting with Section 1, an allegory for innocence. The thesis. This piece utilizes shifting structures and these intense, almost religious motifs to make a really bold claim. It's saying that losing your youth isn't just some passive event that happens to you, it's an active, agonizing necessity. You literally have to encounter temptation and succumb to it in order to truly grow and evolve. Moving right along to Section 2, decoding with the Peel method, applying literary frameworks. So if we were writing a formal essay on this work, we'd use the Peel method. Peel is this brilliant, highly structured framework for literary analysis that stands for point, evidence, explanation, and link. We're going to use this exact method in real time right now to decode the incredibly layered, totally oxymoronic lyrics embedded in the song's verses and chorus. This brilliantly illustrates how the writers purposefully weave words of intense suffering right next to words of total luxury. Let's break this down. Our point is that temptation is framed as a pleasurable trap. For the evidence, we see the juxtaposition of visceral pain, blood, sweat, and tears, put right up against lyrics of pure indulgence, like peaches and cream. As for the explanation, that intoxicating luxury is woven directly with suffering to create an oxymoron in the tone. The speaker isn't just sad, they're experiencing this pleasurable trap. And finally, the link. By offering up their vital fluids so willingly, it signifies the total surrender of the self to the addictions and the complexities of adulthood. And there are two distinct sonic structures in the song's arrangement that perfectly match this lyrical duality. First, you have these ethereal, breathy high notes in the opening hook, sung in falsetto, which represent the pure, kind of suspended state of youth. But then, boom, it abruptly shifts to a grounded, heavy dance hall rap beat. The vocal delivery drops down into a deep conversational register. This shift literally sounds like a fall from a spiritual, heavenly dilemma straight down into a physical, earthly temptation. Now, for Section 3, contrasting Demian and BTS, the literary connection. This entire work relies heavily on Hermann Hesse's 1919 coming-of-age novel, Demian. The book explores a boy who is deeply torn between two realms. On one hand, you have a world of light, which represents childhood, pure morality, and a very safe, sheltered family realm. And that's contrasted sharply against a world of shadow, representing adulthood, temptation, forbidden knowledge, and just the messy reality of human existence. Just like the novel's protagonist, Emile Sinclair, the characters we see here aren't running from the darkness. In the book, the ultimate goal is to encounter a deity named Abercox, an entity who contains both divine and satanic elements, basically good and evil combined into one. The thesis here is that true maturity requires integrating both your light and your dark sides. So, when the lyrics talk about not caring if it hurts and asking to be tied up so they can't run away, they're realizing that to become a whole person, they actually have to actively choose the same fall into the world of shadow. Which brings us to Section 4, the cracking statue symbolism, decoding the cinematic climax. By slowing down this cinematic moment, a really clear narrative starts to emerge. It begins with this towering statue of white marble, representing unblemished childhood innocence. but attached to it are massive black wings, the shadow self. When youth willingly kisses the statue, it acts as a catalyst. It seals a dark contract. And immediately, the character's face begins to crack like porcelain, shattering the childhood ego. Think about the metaphor of porcelain itself. It's beautiful, sure, but it's also incredibly rigid and fragile. The cracking isn't just a sign of destruction, it signifies the breaking of a shell. The pristine childhood illusion must shatter so that the complex, flawed human adult can emerge underneath. It proves that you absolutely cannot grow up without violently breaking your original mold. And finally, Section 5, The Price of Adulthood, a Synthesis. The visual narrative here explicitly features classical artwork, specifically Pieter Bruegel's landscape with the fall of Icarus. As the myth goes, Icarus was given waxed wings, but was warned not to fly too close to the sun. However, he became so intoxicated by the feeling of flying that he ignored the danger entirely. The wax melted, and he plunged to his death. By weaving in this tragic myth of hubris, the visuals confirm that these young men are fully aware of their impending doom. They choose the momentary ecstasy of flight and that inevitable fall over the safety of staying grounded. The blood, sweat, and tears they offer up aren't just song lyrics. They are the required currency you have to pay to cross the threshold into true self-awareness.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a lingering thought to reflect on. Must our innocence be violently shattered to achieve true maturity? Is purity merely a temporary shell that we're destined and maybe even required to destroy in order to truly grow up? It's a fascinating lens through which to view not just a pop song, but our very own journeys into adulthood. Thanks so much for exploring this with me.